Hey, we'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Garrison. This episode is a continuation of the 13th Virginia, 13th of the Continental Line uniform. We're going to discuss the hat. Now, we've discussed in the past that this is more of a cocked hat. It is a three-sided hat, or commonly known as a tricorn, but it's a cocked hat in that it's worn in a military variation, cocked over the left eye. The Virginia contract hat was a very basic hat with very little, if any, adornments. That's the hat that we're going to discuss today. We also discussed this type of round hat, and we'll go through the hat blank and how to manufacture the round hat from a hat blank. The round hat has a lot of documentation, as well as the cocked hat. The round hat, we'll show pictures in the video about the cocked hat and the round hat and where the originals exist. Okay, so your hat blank, a simple felt hat blank. The sky's the limit on the hat blanks as to what you might want to purchase, how much money you might want to invest. A good felt, wool felt hat blank probably starts around 50 to 60 bucks. G. Goodwin is a good sutler that we recommend. There's Hats by Grizz, which is also a good sutlery that we recommend. Those can be found just simply by Googling both of the names that I just mentioned. We prefer a round blocked hat. Notice this one's oval, so when it comes time for me to shape it and make it into the hat configuration that I desire, I'll take a block of wood that's oval, that's been turned down on the lathe, and I'll simply steam this and keep placing it over that block until it reshapes the hat. One of the things that we're looking for in a round blocked hat is a nice 90-degree crisp edge to the brim. So that being said, once you get a round blocked hat, you wear it for a while, it's going to turn back to the shape of your head. So if your round blocked hat turns oval, don't fret too much. And if you have a square head, it'll turn square. But your hat will shape and conform to your head. There's not much you can do about it. Before we get into the construction of the hat, let's discuss some of the other variations of hats that we have here. This is an officer's hat for the 8th. It's laced, as you see around the brim, in metallic gold lace. It's also stitched with metallic gold thread, which is very difficult to manufacture. If you notice, if you can look closely, there are folds and variations to the folds here as you go around the perimeter of the hat. You want to make sure that you fold this in the right spot so you don't get a pucker. And the same with the white lace. The wool tape, you want to make sure that it lays nice and flat, and of course these are all hand stitched. A fatigue cap is just a cap that was worn inside the camp after hours just to keep the head warm. When a soldier didn't want to wear a large, somewhat cumbersome hat of his uniform, he might retire and wear his fatigue cap. So I just want to bring out a couple variations, but the hat that we're focusing on mainly today is the very simple, very plain Virginia contract hat. So back to our hat blank. Again, sky's the limit on the price. If you want to buy a real expensive hat, you can get a beaver felt hat. You're looking at probably $180, $150. There's some sutleries in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania that would offer those hat blanks at that price. Dirty Billy's probably one of the first that comes to mind. Again, any of these sutleries that you want to purchase, just Google the name. You should be good to go. All right, taking the hat blank, I'll take a steam iron and I'll steam it flat, get it nice and crisp after I've blocked it. Then I'll simply take a yardstick, and for the Virginia contract hat, I want to measure 4 inches from the base of the round part here. So measuring 4 inches, I'll take a piece of chalk and I'll go around the perimeter marking 4 inches, and I'll simply take a pair of scissors and trim it to that chalk line I've just made. Once the chalk line it's on there, it's pretty easy to brush off if you need to. So there's no problems with chalk in this hat. Add a little bit of steam and it comes off even easier. So once that your brim's cut to the 4-inch mark, then you just simply pinch the hat, folding it like such, to exactly where you want it to end up over your left eye. So I'll pinch it, I'll take my linen thread that we discussed in our earlier videos and sew it about 2 inches long. 2 pieces here and 2 pieces here. Again, the Virginia contract hats were very simple. They're very cheap. They were made by contractors, just like the contract coats. They were just part of the uniform that they put together as quickly and as simply as possible. So if you want to linen line your hat, that's pretty simple to do. I just took a piece of linen. I cut the linen 6 inches wide, folded it over and hand stitched, so I got a nice clean seam. This is folded over a 1/2 inch so that you can run a cord through it to tighten it. Okay, so we've cocked our hat, we've pulled up the back, we've stitched it with linen, and we're good to go. Now I would advise that you simply spray this with a shellac or a aerosol polyurethane, because that will help waterproof it. The cheaper hats will disintegrate once they get wet. Sweat, rain, moisture, just moisture inside your tent, any of that can cause these hats to fail. So I would like to take a moment to thank you for joining us on this episode of the Garrison. The next episode that we'll do will be on accoutrements of the 13th, and we'll go into detail the different cartridge boxes and what they were used for, how were they constructed, and go from there. So any questions that you have, please refer them to our Facebook page, The Garrison. PM me and I will answer them as quickly as possible. We are getting a lot of requests now for questions, so bear with me and be patient, but I will answer every question as it becomes available. Thanks again for joining us, and have a good evening.